Hi everyone, it's Rax finally bringing you a guide for my favorite class ever, the Barbarian. This is going to be the support barb build for rat runs, and it's also known as the 22 pickup build. One comment about this build is the easiest thing to play in the entire game. So if you're just coming back to Diablo, or you're trying to get your friend or your boyfriend or your girlfriend to play with you, this is the build they should make so you guys can do some XP meta runs and get extremely strong. One last comment I want to make before we get into it is, a lot of people play this build with the Whirlwind version, but to me that is an inferior way to play. And the reason why is Whirlwind Hurricane is used in that build to proc strong arms, but Whirlwind Hurricane does not proc the strong arms on elites. So if you play the Whirlwind version, you have to take Furious Charge anyway. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the Charge version, which lets you pick up an additional skill essentially for nothing. Okay? Starting in the weapon slot, we have Ingeom. This entire build is going to be based on 4 things: attack speed, cooldown reduction, rolling pickup radius on absolutely everything, and surviving. Okay? So as you can see here in our Ingeom, we've got attack speed and cooldown. We can't roll pickup radius on a weapon. And in general, if you can, for any of these items, if you can get them to roll with intelligence instead of strength, that's going to be very good, because we're going to be looking for all resist over armor on every piece, and intelligence gives us all resist. So we take Ingeom because our cooldowns are going to be reduced significantly every single time that we kill an elite pack, and in rat runs we're going to be killing every single elite pack. Okay, so it's essentially going to give us our cooldowns up all the time. And we're going to take actually the Gem of Ease in our weapon to give us slightly more XP. It's really not much, but we do not need the Amethyst to survive. The survivability on this build is absolutely outrageous. You're never going to die anyway, so we might as well take a tiny bit of XP. In our offhand, we have the brand new Echoing Fury, which is going to be absolutely insane. It's going to give us insane attack speed, and it's going to give us movement speed. Okay? And the exact same rolls, we want int attack speed and cooldown. In the boot slot, we want illusory boots to be able to walk freely among the monsters. And again, we want full survivability stats, and you're going to see on absolutely everything as the secondary, we want to roll health and globe pickup increased by 2 yards. If we take that on every single item that's possible, at the end we're going to end up with 22 pickup radius, which is exactly what we're going for. For the pants and gloves, we're going to wear cane set. And the main reason that we're wearing cane set is there's nothing else that we really need to take. We don't need to fit Captain Crimson's into this build because we already have plenty of cooldown, as you're going to see. We're going to have cooldown on every piece. We're going to have Ingeom, and we're going to have Messerschmitt's Reaver. In fact, we're also going to drop the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. Your cooldowns are going to be up all the time. So because there's nothing fantastic to take, we're actually going to take 2-piece cane set for the attack speed and the plus 50% XP. Okay, so one thing to think about in calculating the XP bonus, everyone's going to say, but the XP bonus is completely nerfed. That's true. When you're playing at 70, you get a 90% reduction in XP, and then the XP is shared among the party. So essentially what that turns into is, when we add up our total bonus XP at the end, we're going to have to divide that number by 40 to see how much bonus XP we're actually going to get. Spoiler alert, we're going to end up with plus 4.4% extra XP in this build. Is that a lot? No. But it's better than nothing, and we don't need the cooldown. We don't need it in this build. We don't need the survivability. We're already going to be completely immortal. So plus 4% extra XP is better than nothing. And we're going to take full survivability stats. Again, we'll always take all resist over armor on a Barbarian build, and we'll take the plus 2 pickup. Oculus Ring, you might think, well, there's Oculus Ring spawning the whole season. We don't need to take Oculus Ring. Wrong. We want to take Oculus Ring because they can stack on top of each other. So if we have a pink ring that gives us extra damage, and our Oculus Ring spawns on top of it, the rats are going to be doing outrageous damage. And again, no surprise here, we're going to be taking Vite, attack speed, and cooldown, and we'll take Toxin to give our rats 10% extra damage. Bet you never thought you'd see this in a build, the Hellfire Ring. You could, if you're having problems with your cooldown, you could take Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, but I promise you, with Ingeom and with Messerschmitt's Reaver, you are not going to need it. If you need it, put it in. But the Hellfire Ring gives us plus 45% extra XP, so we might as well take that. And we're going to take Wreath of Lightning as our gem just to move faster. Pride of Cassius, this is going to increase our Ignore Pain by 6 seconds. We're going to be giving rats this buff all the time. Again, full survivability stats with the +2 pickup. Here's the other piece of canes we were talking about. Int Fight, attack speed, CDR, we're taking it for the XP. We need pickup on absolutely everything as the secondary. Aren't a lot of great choices for the shoulders and chest. If you want to, you could take Borns. If you want to, you could take Raycourse. But the thing about Borns is it barely gives you any XP. I think it's plus 20%, so when you divide that by 40, it's only 0.5% extra experience. And this is going to give you another cheat death that you won't need. But this is going to give you 50% damage reduction, which honestly you probably won't need either. But you can do whatever you want, but I don't think 0.5% of XP is worth taking Borns. You could take Raycourse if you want, but I'm just going to go with the 2 legendaries, and we'll take cooldown on the Pauldrons of the Skeleton King with the cheat death. The main thing we want is the pickup. And then the Aquila, our Fury is going to be at the top all the way. It's a free 50% damage reduction just to make sure you'll never die. And we want to take diamonds in the pants and the chest to stay alive. In Leoric's, we're going to double the effect of this gem. Again, I would take the XP gem. It's plus 82% XP. Okay, so it's a pretty significant amount. If you're having trouble with your cooldown, which you won't be, if you are, you could put a diamond in your helmet. That's another option. But again, full survivability with the pickup. We need Randall's Locket because Randall's Locket rolls plus 6 pickup as a secondary. So that's incredible. Again, we'll take the attack speed and the cooldown, and we'll take the Gogok of Swiftness, again, for extra cooldown, attack speed, and dodge. And rounding it out here, we have the Strong Arm Bracers. You could take Life on Hit here as a roll for some sustain with your Furious Charge. Again, just try to get it with plus 30% and pickup radius on it. And another thing about this build is a lot of builds require good gear, ancient gear, tons of augments. This build is not that way. You can just craft whatever first version you get of all this stuff. As long as you have the cooldown rolls and the pickup and some attack speed, it's going to work just fine. You don't have to worry about maximizing this character at all. Okay, on the Paragons, we need to max our movement speed first. Remember, between the boots and the Paragon, you can only have plus 25. So if you have 0 here, you would have 25 here. And if you have 12 here, then you'd only put 13 into movement speed. Then I put most of the rest into Vitality. If you have all int on everything, you could put in some strength for some armor, but most of your Paragon points are going to go into Vitality. Attack speed and cooldown are the only 2 that help us in offense. These 2 do nothing for us, so just go with attack speed and cooldown. For defense, we'll take life and all resist first, then armor and life per second last, and then the resource cost and the life on hit will help us a little bit, but it's whatever. Moving on to the skills, we have Warcry, which is a big defensive buff, and we're going to take the Hardened Wrath Rune for additional armor. Remember, our main focus is to keep the Necromancers alive, and Necromancers benefit tremendously from increased armor. That's why we take this rune. Ignore Pain with the Mob Rule Rune. The Mob Rule Rune is going to give our allies 25% reduced damage and give them the immunity to the control impairing effects. So we're going to spam this every time it's up and make sure that they have this buff all the time. Threatening Shout Falter. When we shout next to enemies, they're going to take 25% increased damage. So we're going to shout all the time, especially by the elites and the Guardian. Furious Charge, Merciless Assault. This is how we move around. This is how we proc our strong arms. The Merciless Assault rune is going to reduce our time by 2 seconds for every enemy hit, so hit as many as you can to make sure you can keep charging all the time. Rend Mutilate, we will mutilate at least the elites, and the Guardian wouldn't say that you have to mutilate absolutely every single mob, but they're going to take 10% increased damage. If for some reason you are having trouble surviving, which should never happen, but if it does, you could drop Rend Mutilate for Wrath of the Berserker Striding Giant, and that will give you, again, tremendous survivability. And finally, Sprint Force March is going to make our allies run faster, so we can get through the rift quickly. Rat runs go very fast. And onto the passives, Pound of Flesh. There's going to be health globes everywhere. It's going to give us life per second, and it's going to give us movement speed. We're going to move super fast. Nerves of Steel is a cheat death. If something goes wrong, we'll stay alive. Superstition is going to give us some toughness. And Inspiring Presence is going to double the duration of our shouts, and it's going to give all of our allies 3% maximum life per second. Okay. Finally, in the cube, the brand new Messersmith's Reaver reduced the remaining cooldown of one of your skills by 1 when you slay an enemy. This also works on assists, according to the patch notes. So now as long as we charge into them and then the Necros kill them, we will get this benefit. It's going to bring our cooldowns back up super easily. Chelonics Chain, when we use Warcry, the movement speed for our allies is going to increase by 40%, so we're just going to run faster. And Band of Might, after we cast Furious Charge, we have 80% damage reduction. This is why you can't die. Okay, let me take you into the game and let me show you how this build works. Alright everyone, let me show you how this build works. I wish I could show you all the cool stuff that's going to be coming with the new season, but unfortunately it's not out yet, and I want to get this guide out before the season starts. Pretty much like we said, you just want to spam Ignore Pain, Warcry, Falter, and Sprint as they come up. Okay? Just give your party all your buffs all the time. You're going to use Furious Charge to move around, and when you get to elites, just rend them for the 10% increased damage. That's all there is to it. It's the easiest build in the game. We've got a rift open here. I wish I could show this to you in a rat run, but nobody's doing rat runs in the off season, so I'll just show you how it works. Okay, you get to an elite and you rend them. That's it. As you can see, I'm essentially taking 0 damage. It's super easy. You will essentially never die as this build. Okay, so when you get to an elite, you just charge them and you rend them, and that's it. What you want to do in the meantime is you want to stay by your rats, and you want to pick up all the health globes by them, because the health globes are going to give them all of their essence to keep casting mages. Okay, and other than that, really the only other trick is do not spam attack electrified. If you're here, don't attack them a trillion times if they're electrified, because the electrified is going to nuke your rats and kill them, and they're not going to be very happy with you. That's pretty much it, guys. It's the easiest build ever. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Barbarian's my favorite class ever, and I'm also going to be putting out a guide on how to do the pull barb, which is the complete opposite of this. This is super easy, and that I would say is extremely difficult, but I'll show you the tips and tricks that I know about it. There'll also be Necromancer guides coming out, and I'll put out a guide for the Challenge Rift, so you know exactly how to do that for your little leveling trick. Hopefully you watch that video. Do not do the Challenge Rift until the season begins. Thank you so much, and please like and subscribe if this helped you, and I'll see you again.